Yo, what up, friends?
He's not that guy to me. I already thought it was disrespectful how they was trying to hand him the top spot, and that's what this whole move about him fighting this weekend was. It was like, okay, they thought they was just getting ready to hand this pound for pound number one over to anyway. I've been on this the whole time, fam. I see the plays, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's foul what they be trying to do to us, man. Terence Bud Crawford is the king of boxing, and Clarissa Shields is the queen of boxing. Period. The Black American style is a style that everybody wants to learn, and I see the UK dudes starting to do it now, and that's why the Mexican dudes have a hard time keeping up with them because they copying us like everybody else on the planet. So it's time for the respect to be gave out. It ain't just about belt to ass like we put to Canelo. This is about respect. Y'all need to give it where it comes from. That's it. You give credit and we'll leave you alone, but you're gonna get this belt to ass and some lessons coming with it.
I love it. To the main event of the evening. 41.4 million viewers on Netflix. The US audience for live and same day viewers, because that's what really counts. The replays count too, but I want to know who watched it live. So live, the US audience was 20.3 million viewers, live and same day watches. So there you go. So anyways, what happened in this fight?
Subscribe on YouTube.
What an amazing fight. And I know there are a lot of discrepancies on the cards and where the scores ended up. And I know all these gentlemen will touch on this. But what I saw, even in the fact that, yes, Terence Crawford did win that fight handily, I still saw a good fight. I still saw a fight I enjoyed. I enjoyed sitting there watching the whole fight, regardless of the amount or lack thereof of how people think of the dominance that Crawford put on or not, which I think obviously was pretty dominant. Again, didn't take away, as y'all mentioned earlier, when you're kind of talking about taking away the casual fan with the Callum Walsh kind of Vargas thing. I was tied into this fight the whole time. Anyways, judges did score the fight 116-112 and 2 115-113s. Clubber D, I saw you talk about the 115-113s online. We are going to come to you in just a second. So again, Crawford started out very quick, as we all said he needed to do in the last fight. He needed to get out to a quick start. He did. He came out throwing hands, and he was throwing combinations. And, Canelo just looked a little like hesitant for a lot of the first kind of rounds, a little frustrated, a little mad even at times. Now, later in the fight, Canelo obviously started to pick it up, started kind of read Crawford a little more, but then towards the end, Crawford just turned it on and pushed him out of the way. Clubber D, Crawford landed 165 of 442 shots for 37%. Canelo landed 132 of 347 for 38%. So Crawford did land 33 more punches, but they landed at the same percentage. What are your thoughts on the new undisputed super middleweight champion?
Well, you guys can't see this, but what I did was I scored the fight round by round, and I put little things up there. And Canelo, because I was getting drunk, and it got little shout out to the Rubik's Cube in the Humboldt group, was at his house, and I had Canelo getting 2 rounds, and they could have been swing rounds at that. I think it was like 2 and 4. But for starters, I'm going to talk about Netflix, and these are the numbers. They might not be accurate. They could be a little false, but number 1 viewership on Netflix for live streaming. They had 125 for Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. They had 74 million for Serrano Taylor Part 2, which I said that Jake Paul showcased Serrano Taylor and that controversy and that made for that all-female card to get viewed by so many people. And then you have Canelo versus Crawford, 41 million as the professor mentioned earlier. So first and foremost, I love the fact that Crawford, Canelo, they're a draw. People say Crawford wasn't a draw. He's always been a draw. It's that people, think that since he's not a household name, people aren't tuning in. A lot of people tune in to Crawford fights, even when he was with ESPN. Second most thing I noticed, after they both weighed in at 167.5. Later that day, when they filled out, the first thing I was like, oh, snap. Pause, but Crawford has filled out. He looks about the same thickness as Canelo, super pause. So, with that being said, I was like, you know what? Okay, Crawford has a really good chance in this fight. And I know it sounds weird, a pause worthy, but I like to see the body type. How do you fill out after you lose that weight? How'd your weight cut go? You look at the way he looked opposed to the way Charlo looked when he made that same weight. You know what I'm saying? So all that stuff plays a factor when it comes to these fights. And he said that fighting Canelo, opposed to someone like David Benavidez, who might come in like 200 pounds, a taller 6'2", 6'3" guy. Canelo, he said, no, he's shorter. He's just thicker. Pause. But that's why Crawford made his decision to fight Canelo. Now, going to the fight, everybody said that Crawford would run. If you look at that 9th round where he stood in the pocket and embarrassed Canelo said it himself, my body couldn't react with my brain. I just couldn't do it. Yeah. So that's telling you right there that Crawford's boxing IQ was 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 steps above Canelo at that fight. Okay. He made him look like the smaller man. Crawford, you would think that was the bigger guy. This was like similar to Ruiz versus Roy Jones Jr. when he moved up to heavyweight. Okay?
Oh yeah,
with domination from the smaller guy. So I loved everything about what Crawford did. I thought it was going to be a split decision because we know how Canelo gets down. You saw the Mayweather fight. Bivol, someone said a draw for the Bivol fight. So you just don't know with Canelo. But God damn it, they got it right on this. Besides the 15, as my dog shakes his head, and besides the 15 to 113, only thing I disagree with, but regardless, Bud Crawford is the face of boxing, and he's what everybody should look up and want to be if you want to become a boxer.
The best.
That's all I got.
Yeah, man. He definitely, no, that was great. And he definitely proved it. He proved that he is the greatest of our generation. He proved that he is more skilled than most people had for a long time there as a pound for pound fighter until, recently when we talked about it slowing down a little bit. And we'll get into that in a little bit too. So do y'all remember? So this goes to what Clubber D just talked about in the 9th round, where Crawford stood in the pocket, right? Mm-hmm. And so I know you all. I know you saw the picture I posted on the Crawford thing, right? With the for the YouTube thumbnail, where it was the punch that he took, where he couldn't believe that he had been punched. Where he was like. Actually, hold on. Let me show the people what I'm talking about real quick.
Yeah,
I have it on my computer.
Hey, Canelo came out of that thing looking like he was on the spectrum.
Hey,
yeah.
When I watched Bernard Hopkins versus Tito Trinidad, and Bernard was killing with that jab, and his head kept snapping back. That's when I came up with the phrase "Si, senor." Like, hey, si, senor. Yeah, yes. Oh, when Canelo got hit and looked that way. My new one is Mira, because he's looking. He's like,
Mira.
Hey, baby,
so it's one of those.
That's crazy.
Okay, so my first thought, and I was trying to find a picture, and I couldn't find a great picture for it. So I'm just going to use this one just because I can't find a better one. No, hold on. Actually, you know what? No, I need to find a better one before I even ruin this joke. I'll get back to it in a second. I've got to show you. But that's the picture I'm talking about, y'all. The picture I'm talking about is that punch where Canelo just went back like this, like Clubber D said, Mira, and then came back. He just looked at him like,
yeah, like what the hell?
What the fuck? So I'll bring the picture up I'm talking about when I find it. It's going to be a surprise. It'll be very funny. But anyways, all right. Let's go ahead and continue on there then. Yayo, you were up next. What do you got on this fight?
Man, I don't know, man. Listen, I didn't even. This thing became like a cultural war. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only thing I really even care about, because it was a cultural war. And it's like, we ain't never asked for none of this. Man, listen, matter of fact, if your small intestines is backed up with guacamole and refried beans, you probably went with Canelo that night.
Oh,
and you know what? And my intestines was nice and smooth, baby. I had chicken wings. You feel me? I had all my chicken wings, baby. You could refried beans and guac. Yeah, y'all can keep that, because we was. I told you, Canelo had problems with small fighters. Didn't I tell you that shit? Ain't Canelo been beat before? All them accolades you got? Let me get them. They said you was the face of boxing. Not tonight, baby. All you motherfuckers that stampeded out of the stadium and was running away from ice and shit like that. Yeah. We tried to tell you they don't like nobody that ain't white, but you didn't listen to us. So, there's one for that. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, bro, it was a masterclass. Crawford went in on his ass. Pause. This was it was easy work, man. You know what I'm saying? And let's talk about the parallels. Didn't Floyd Mayweather say, man, I was 38 years old when I cooked that boy. I was almost 38. Ain't Crawford almost 38? Damn, if history repeats itself, clap 2 times, put a 2 in the chat. Didn't it repeat itself? Yeah. And didn't I call it? Yeah. Hey, you know what? I got to say something for my homies, though. I want to thank all of y'all for coming through with them payments. You know what I'm saying? I cleaned up when Mayweather did Pacquiao in. I cleaned up when Mayweather did everybody else in. And I cleaned up when Crawford did Spence in. And I cleaned up when Crawford did Canelo. Boy, I've been cleaning up, boy. You feel me? Y'all might start calling me the janitor the way I'm out here cleaning and collecting bills. You know what I mean? No, man, but it was too much racism that was happening with this fight, and everybody that be rolling their R's and shit. All y'all motherfuckers went with Canelo. Matter of fact, I seen a Cuban dude that said he had a Team Mexico hat on. You look like us, bruh, and you got a Team Mexico hat on, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what? There's a ass whooping for the Cubans. Oh, hey, I know you in there, Jose. Don't run, Jose. You eating thighs and drumsticks now, baby. You know what I'm saying? You just see how your boys been taking them L's? Yeah, you picked Crawford, didn't you? They kicked you out of the group. Why? Because they don't like that you like black people like that. This is one whooping for them. You know what I'm saying? Because you are dudes and we fuck with you, so we're gonna put something on them too. Hey, I know it's another Cuban dude out there who fought to Detroit, and all 3 of y'all tried to back me down and said, "Oh, Canelo was too big and all that." This is one for you too, fam. I still love you, but get this ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? Hey, didn't I tell you to quit crying? Hey, if you keep crying, I'm gonna give you some more. There's a difference between the way a black man whoop your ass and the way somebody else whoop your ass. You get a lesson with it. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the buckle too. He said the buckle too.
We trying to put dents in the motherfucker forehead. You gonna walk out this motherfucker with a leprechaun print on your forehead when we get done stapling it across there. You feel?
Glorious bastards.
You feel me?
Beat it up like a glorious bastards.
Listen, man, I don't even want to cook no more, man. I'm just telling you, like, I got some pit up shit I got to get up off my chest for these motherfuckers, because that shit is unnecessary. And I know the next person that Canelo fights, if he black, this shit gonna be switched right back on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have another belt for that ass.
Yes, sir.
That's hilarious. And next time, I hope the puppet is also in the picture when you're belting that ass. That was great. Let's get some comments here before we get to Josh on this. Felicia says it was an excellent fight. Judges' card were trash.
Yes, sir.
Champ Ross says Crawford filled out solid. He was ready for everything Canelo had. Raz Clot, Crawford is above Manny and Floyd and Usyk and Inoue. I think.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Well, do y'all agree with the Floyd one?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention it. He was 2-division undisputed before this fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
So
but, I mean, a lot of people consider Floyd to be the greatest of all time. That's why I'm asking.
No, hell no.
Smoke and mirrors right there.
That's all.
Yeah, no.
He's good. Good, but nah.
Champ says, what do you guys think about the foot placement Crawford was doing to frustrate Canelo to take away the left hook?
Oh, man.
Well, he did more than
Don't do that. IQ.
Yeah. He would hit his hand down.
IQ he has in there.
Yeah, he was pinning that. He pinned Canelo's arm to his body and turned him, and then hit him with a 5-piece, and then turned him again and gave him FOMO.
Yeah, Woo! Figure him out at all.
Yeah.
When he came out with the Desperado song saying that's why I'm giving this man an opportunity to sing a song that's near and dear to Mexicans to prove that I'm not racist. I'm with everybody. So
it don't matter though.
Don't know about that.
It didn't even matter that he paid respects to him, because that shit was quiet like crickets in that motherfucker, because Crawford was beating his asshole. Canelo hit him a couple times and the crowd erupts. Ooh. Yeah, no, fam.
Harlem Nights.
Just hold his. I felt like I felt the energy from the black people who was standing up talking shit while they was in a sea of Mexicans, and them motherfuckers booing him from the fucking press conference all the way until he. Matter of fact, even after the fight, when he gave y'all some respect, y'all was still booing him. You know, get some old belt to ass.
And he shot it out. Bill Haney in the post press conference said that Bill Haney was the first one to say, "Hey, you can do this. You can do this."
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's great. So as a quick reminder of the picture I was talking about, right? That's the Canelo shot that he took, right? All right. Now I want to show you the first thing that came to my mind. I've got two pictures for you.
Oh, that's Men in Black.
It was the first. It was the first thing I thought of, I thought of this alien with the neck. I was like, it looked like that stupid alien.
I'm not gonna front. One time I was walking my dog and I had I ate some ice cream. I was lactose intolerant, and I got to the park, kind of close to my house. I was walking like him when he walked out that diner, trying to run about the house. I was, it was bad. It was bad.
So you tell me this is what his neck was like. And Clever D, you know what the funniest part is? Hold on. I you know what? I'll get to it in a second. Let me get to Josh first, but that's funny you said that. All right, Josh, go ahead, brother. What you got on this one?
Hey, I share many of the same sentiments that the others just share. What I wanted to note that, of course, is I only gave Canelo 2 rounds, and I can't remember which rounds they were, but I only gave him 2 rounds. So the cards were closer than what I thought. Also, as Clubber had mentioned, I likened Crawford's move to 168 similar to that of Roy Jones. The way they went about it, you just knew it was meticulously done, and they went about it the right way, not just someone who said, okay, yeah, I weigh this when I walk around or whatever, and I'm just going to go there. But he was strategic about it, and you could just tell that he's a guy that's dedicated to his craft and what he's able to do there, And I had switched to Crawford for the longest. I had been leaning Canelo, but then something told me, hey, you know what, Crawford, I just think about it from studying, say, the history of the sport and some of the greatest that we've seen. And there have been others who've gone up multiple weight classes to win world titles, to become undisputed or whatever it may be. And I just feel like Crawford had that makeup about him, just seeing the way he approached things, just if you know his background, know what he puts into being at the level that he is, then you can understand why he is able to accomplish what he was able to accomplish. So that's why I ended up leaning towards him. And also kind of what was alluded to here, and I was going to say, I'm sure this might be controversial for some, and just from what I've seen, just thinking about the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Sugar Ray Robinsons, the et cetera, I feel that Crawford would have beat Floyd Mayweather as well, just looking at what he brings to the table there. That's just my thoughts right there, real talk. Wow. I see what Crawford brings to the table, and I just think that he has that extra thing about him that puts him past a number of people. So he's most certainly going to be recognized as one of the all-time greats. The thing about boxing history is, of course, there have been a number of all-time greats. So it's hard. I've seen some like Mount Rushmore things. I think Showbiz the Adult put Crawford in his Mount Rushmore or whatever. He had Langford. He didn't have Ali. He had Langford and Henry Armstrong, who I'm in favor of course. He had Langford, Henry Armstrong, Crawford, and I can't remember who the other person is, but essentially there are a number of people that are left out. I think that's a big much. I wouldn't necessarily put Crawford in the Mount Rushmore. People have their own choice, but as far as the greatest boxers that we've seen, I think that Crawford, he fits that billing, and he's going to be a name that's remembered and mentioned among the best of the generation for sure. And hey, I got nothing but props for him. I mean, I think he's proved himself. He's proved himself, and he had a period there. A lot of people were counting him out, talking about his resume. If you look at who he's beat some very solid opponents, all of varying styles. So I've never bet against him, and ultimately he's proved to be sort of that person that he was expected to be, at least from the standpoint of leading into each of these fights. And hey, I can't pick against him in any scenario. I don't see any scenario right now, at least. So I think he is most certainly one of the all-time greats, and not being a prisoner of the moment, I think he takes out a lot. Even this previous generation, though in a series of fights, things could, wins and losses could, exchange hands or whatnot. But man, he's legit, real deal.
So I've got some follow-up questions here then for the rest of the panel. And Josh, I want you to answer one question first, and then we'll go to everybody else. Would you put him in your Mount Rushmore then?
No, it's so hard, and it's primarily because just when you really look at the history of the sport, there have been so many names, many who've been forgotten, and comparing modern times to the olden times, it's like night and day in some sense. There's something about, say, back in the day, fighting Joe Gans fighting 42 rounds against battling Nelson, no top cover in the heat of
wild. That's fucking crazy.
There's something about that compared to what we see today with a 12 rounder or whatever. And we're talking under the markers of Queensberry rules. So these are 3-minute rounds. Think about that. 42 3-minute rounds. You know what I'm saying?
42
that's
rounds.
That's why it makes it so tough. So I don't necessarily have them in my Mount Rushmore. That being said, I really need to think about it a bit more, but he is of the same ilk and likeness of those great guys from the past. It's just hard to compare them realistically speaking once you know about the conditions of the previous years or the old days compared to the conditions of today. But that being said, all of that aside, he is certainly worthy of mention among those types of names for sure. And I think he's shown that by virtue of the weight that he's scaled and the dominating fashion in which he's done it. So it's one thing to just beat Canelo, but he practically dominated Canelo for the duration of that contest. Same that he did with Errol Spence there at 147. Same that he did with those at 140. Same that he did with those at 135. So I think he has that all-time great making about him, and that's why I put him there. And the difference between, I guess you could say, him and Floyd is in the sense that there were no catch weights, that type thing. Crawford, hey, he went up there. He came from 154 where he only had one fight and beat the undisputed 168-pound champion. And I think that is saying something right there. So I think he's one of the greatest of all time for sure.
But there is a distinction between the new and the old era. So you would probably have to have a Mount Rushmore of both an old Mount Rushmore and probably a newer, and even maybe a mid like 60s, 70s, 80s Mount Rushmore. So you might have to
man, fuck all that. We ain't giving nobody.
My bad.
We ain't giving nobody no easy outs. You got to choose.
Is he or is he not on your Mount Rushmore?
That's different.
Man, he is on that motherfucker for sure, because y'all was getting ready to give Canelo all the accolades. He done played y'all for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He got all these great names on his resume. And when people look back, they're going to be like, oh, he beat him, and him. It's not going to reflect that those people were, at the end of it, or they were, they were cherry. It's not going to reflect that. It's just going to say that he fought him, right? And the people who can't see it are going to think that he did something great. So if they was getting ready to give him all the accolades, the same way they gave Lomachenko all the accolades, the same way they gave all these other people all these accolades, when a black fighter beats him, those accolades now belong to him. Period. Ain't nobody. He's the first 3-time undisputed champion. What? That's a motherfucker. That's legacy defining shit right there. And he had to do it against opposition. Like Bob Arum really could have promoted Terence Crawford better than what he did. He was spending too much money on some other people who didn't pan out. And that's usually how it goes, right? So that's why I got a problem with people not giving us our respect when it's due. They always say, oh, well, this style is whack and this style. No, man. But this dude got shot in the head and drove himself to the damn hospital. What more? I mean, can we give it up just for that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then for him to go and do what he did, like, listen, bro. He's going on that Mount Rushmore because I'm tired of watching them try to put people like Chocolatito and Inoue on the Mount Rushmore. And Ronda Rousey, I remember when they said she was better than Ali at one point.
God,
you know what I'm saying? No, we're not doing that, fam. We're not doing that. Because we know, like I said, King Crawford, Queen Shields, right? So if you're the king and you're the queen, of course you're on the Mount Rushmore. You got to be.
Okay, but I mean, and Clubber D, we're talking the Mount Rushmore. Muhammad Ali's on mine at least, and other great fighters. Is he on your Mount Rushmore, Clubber D?
Yeah, so it's hard with the Mount Rushmore because I don't have the vast knowledge as Josh. Josh was way back when Caveman Johnson fought Caveman McCormick, and
Caveman Johnson versus McCormick.
They're fighting over to see who gets some cut that night. But you know what I'm saying? Like for me, I feel like Muhammad Ali, for what his fighting is one thing, but what he did outside the ring is something totally different. And for that, he's kind of like on his own pedestal. For the fighters, that influenced me, I'll put Crawford's on there for sure. Roy Jones is on there for sure. My favorite fighter of all time, Pernell Whitaker, is on there. And one last person I'll throw would probably be Rushmore. This is this era, so it's not like I'll say Mike Tyson, but like that. I'll put Mike Tyson. That's just like from 80s on up, nothing too crazy.
I would say, and things could change and evolve over time. If I had to think about it just from my perspective and looking at the history of the sport and kind of tapping in and studying that aspect of it, and this could, of course, ultimately change. For me personally, I would have Muhammad Ali. I would have Henry Armstrong. I would have Archie Moore, who I think is the greatest light heavyweight champion that has ever lived. I think Sam Langford is the greatest pound for pound fighter, the greatest heavyweight, of course. I think that is Muhammad Ali. And then for that fourth, it would have to either be Harry Greb or for me, I'd likely put Harry Greb because I think he has the greatest resume in boxing history when you look at it in totality of who he beat. So I had to actually put him there, him or Sugar Ray Robinson, of course, who I think is another one who has one of the greatest resumes. But I think the two greatest resumes in the history of boxing are Sam Langford and Harry Greb, and they fought in the earlier years. Now, it's very different stylistically because we don't have a lot of video on those individuals compared to where we are now. So that's why I go with such. But for me personally, that's what I'd be thinking. And if you look at their resumes and digest their careers as a whole, that's when you see that it's hard to compare some of the modern fighters to some of those from back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It's almost apples and oranges in some sense, But that's where I would put things right there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually thought about it, but I definitely know Muhammad Ali would definitely be on there for me. And moving on to other ones, I'd have to think about it for a while more. So I'll defer to these gentlemen here, but I know Ali would definitely be on there. So, all right, cool. Let's move into some comments. One thing I did want to ask as well to y'all, because Felicia did bring this up and Clubber D did as well. What would you have had for the scores then? What would have been your score on the card?
I know my thing, I did score it in an app and I had it 118, I think 110, or is that what it is? Let me see what it is.
Yeah, what'd you have?
Two rounds for Canelo.
2 rounds for Canelo? Okay. And then we'll get Clubber D when he gets back. I had Canelo having there he is. Clubber D, what would you have had as your judge's scorecard here?
Oh, I had 10-2.
10-2.
10-2 Crawford. Canelo, I think it was the second and the fourth round that could have been swing rounds, but I'll give them Canelo just to be nice. But I feel like Crawford pretty much dominated this whole fight. He got in the pocket, got out the pocket, moved around, kind of mobilized or demobilized Canelo's offense to where he was just swinging at his trunks the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But yeah, Crawford, and I think after the fight, he said that he felt his power and he said it wasn't that bad. So I think that's why in that 9th round, he said, you know what, we're going to do this right in the middle. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we're all along the same lines. I agree with Josh. I had 3 rounds for Canelo. But I was probably giving champion rounds, maybe even when I shouldn't have. So, but I thought I was actually trying to score it as I thought the judges would also kind of be scoring it. As y'all know, I thought it was going to be a draw. I thought there was going to be mad shenanigans going on in this case, but apparently they were not. So, all right, let's get to the rest of these comments before we get out of here. Felicia, I wasn't impressed with Canelo's conditioning, the lack thereof reminding me of when Money May fought him. Champ says, right after 6 rounds, I knew it was over. Crawford was laughing, smiling. He had him then. Yeah. He also says, look, I don't know who else caught flashbacks, but I saw my dad coming after me when Poppy whipped out the belt. I was like, no, Poppy, in my mind. I was like, no. Champ says Floyd didn't take no risk. That's in that GOAT talk that we talked about with Floyd versus Crawford. Felicia says, not too much on Floyd. Floyd is the epitome of discipline, dedication, and drive, and held great alliteration there, my friend. And he held his title over a decade, not to mention every cat that fought him got paid because he paid.
Well, he didn't fight people like us because he didn't want to fight Paul Williams and he didn't want to fight Winky Wright. So he kind of
Margarito.
Yeah, Margarito also. He's like, oh, I ain't fighting him. I'm worried about my health. It's on wax. He said that. So it's kind of towards the end. He's fighting Baltimore, a couple other fighters. I'm not saying he didn't deserve to pick and choose, but he picked and chose at the end.
Okay. Champ Ross, I honestly think Crawford only got to 3rd gear on Canelo, and he thinks he had a 4th gear. Which is crazy to think about.
No doubt.
Did I say Pee Wee instead of Sweet Pea? My bad if I did.
I didn't. You good? Boxing is almost like baseball. Being around for so many years is tough to nail down a Mount Rushmore.
Yes,
there are so many players.
That's why I cut it off to the people I've seen.
That's what makes it tough, because there are a number of black fighters from back in the day who didn't get a shot at a world title that are some of the greatest that never won a world title. Sam Langford being one of those, Black Prince Peter Jackson being one of those, and I could go on and on, of course. So that makes it tough.
Mm-hmm. Can I add to that?
And Champ, go ahead.
My only add is just this is my what if. What if Riddick Bowe and Mike Tyson actually fought the Battle of Brownsville?
Mike probably would have bit him too. Hey, say something else about Mr. Young. I might do that.
Bo was my guy until the issue, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with Champ Ross there. For sure.
Longest boxing was always Henry Armstrong, Joe Louis, etc. Right? Yeah, like Joe Louis is probably somebody I would have in my Mount Rushmore, just because I'm not as much of a historian.
Only lost 3 times in 69 fights at heavyweight, and those 3, one of them he lost to Max Melling. He underestimated him or whatever, and then the other 2 came. He was a little bit on in his career. You could say something. So it's one of those things. So that makes it tough right there. And Henry Armstrong, as mentioned. I even shared the video. He had the featherweight, welterweight, and lightweight title all at once, in the sense of he held all 3 undisputed at one time, and that's crazy. And he was about to win the world middleweight title, but there was some fishy stuff with the scorecards there when he fought Seferino Garcia. So I say that to say that, there's so many layers to the history of the sport and the fighters involved with it. It's hard to say one thing is definitive,
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think there's a lot of people that need to be evaluated, and it's like thousands of people, and it's very hard to nail down, especially when you're bringing up to people like me. I'd never heard of Sam Langford, and now I just looked him up, and I'm about to go watch some fights now because I want to know what you're talking about.
Hey, well, let me give you something then too. Something you can go look up. There was a dude named Tom Molyneux. It's spelled with the French way, Molineux, I believe. He fought in the early 1800s. He was a slave that lived on the plantation.
Oh yeah, there he is.
And his owner the plantation owner's son bet $100,000 on him to win, and he won the fight. So they gave him $500 and his freedom. Tom Molyneux, and he's from Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
This
guy.
100,000 at that time.
That's why we.
That's a lot of fucking money.
Whooping y'all ass, man. They motherfucking bread.
He was an understudy to this guy by the name of Bill Richmond, who kind of had done it first, and then he went over and fought Tom Cribb, who was this British cat who ultimately he was kind of cheated out of win where they were breaking Tom Molyneux's fingers and that type stuff in the midst of the rounds. So it's some worthy of checking out. This was in the pugilistic era of bare knuckle, so it was under those rules.
Right, bare knuckle is what it says. Yeah.
London prize ring rules or whatever.
Seems like motherfuckers from the DMV been whooping ass for a long time.
Yeah.
I
think Riddick Bowe moved down here.
By the way, Clubber D, to answer your question there, I did the calculation here of inflation from 1815 to now. $100,000 in 1815 would be equivalent to $2 million, a little over $2 million now.
Crazy.
Crazy.
And they only gave that motherfucker $500 in his freedom. You couldn't give him a little more.
Hey, man, hey.
A little more?
Yeah.
Because $500 is only worth $500 is only worth $10,500 in today's money.
Hey,
so they got away with $2 million, and he got $10,500.
It's no different right now.
And he fought for his freedom, so
that's true. Freedom is
lives over there.
Hey, but when that Ali Act go away, he was running that Dana White system. But that Dana White system gonna get in here.
That Ali Act, I see the pros and big time cons with it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I'm not a fan. I see what they're trying to pitch to the people, saying that with the Ali Act, it kind of takes the promoter out. It's more of you get paid for what you're worth, but
no, they dictate.
Yeah,
the fighters won't know the truth. The Ali Act currently, the promoter has to share how much they're going to make for a particular fight. Or fight card, and this would change that to the way it is with the UFC, where Dana kind of dictates what you're going to pay, irrespective of what the card in itself is going to make as a whole. So I don't like it.
No, it's kind of like the anti-PBC policy, because PBC was paying their fighters.
Money grab there for Dana. It's a money grab,
big time money
grab. He could have set up an MMA tournament. Why does he want to set up a boxing type of league? Why don't he set up another prospect-based MMA league? I think it's BS.
They want to pretty much control cash flow.
Yeah. Man, the people who should be controlled should be the ones that's whooping everybody ass. That's how I feel.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
A couple good Instagram shout outs here. We got our brother that you were just talking about, Clever D, Abe, that you went down to see this weekend. Joined us on Instagram. Shout out to him. And then as well, Dion Pruitt, the business XXL man, the fighter, undefeated out of Louisiana. He saw that great interview. Yeah, he is. Yep. If you didn't see the interview I did with him, he's a very energetic, and he's just upbeat, and he did the whole Muhammad Ali little poetry thing, and he did his own little twist to it, and it was awesome. So go check it out on Instagram. Salute to you, Dion Pruitt. I'll tap in with him. All right, cool. The last questions here that everybody really wants to know about is what's next for both of these fighters. Alvarez obviously has been fighting a long time, even though he's only 2 years younger than Crawford. He's been fighting since he was like 15 in Mexico. So there are talk of possible retirement, but I know that he also mentioned in an interview that he would also think about a rematch. A lot of people want to see a rematch. That may not be the first thing that Crawford wants to do. He said he's going to go home and rest with his family and then evaluate with his team, as most people would say in that instance. Gentlemen, we'll start with you, Clubber D. What are we thinking about what's next for both of these guys?
I think, first and foremost, I think Canelo has 2 more fights left on his contract with Turkey Sheik. So he got paid $150 million for this. So I'm sure he's going to fight again. And I don't know if it's going to be somebody like Hamzat or I know Chris Eubanks Jr. was talking about fighting him as well. But I feel like it's not going to be somebody that we really care to see him fight. It's going to be one of those bounce back fights. And his last fight will be maybe somebody of stature. And then finish up with Crawford. It's not going to be Benavidez. I don't think Benavidez is going to be it. I feel like he's going to move back down to 160. And Zenovic has 2 belts. There's Carlos Adamos and Erislandy Lara, who has another belt, who's older than Crawford. I think Papi Trinello and Skywalker talked about this on Sunday night, but I feel like he can move down to 160 and clean up that division and be 4-time undisputed.
So you do see Canelo and Crawford fighting in that third fight? Is that what you said?
No.
Or you do not.
No.
Okay,
No,
you do not see that happen.
Not at all.
Okay. Yayo, what about you? What do you think about that?
Hell
What's next for
no.
you?
Hey man, Canelo, you had a nice run, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Him and his fans, they gotta exit. They gotta exit stage left. Like these motherfuckers is not welcomed in the sport, not by me, anyways.
Damn, not
all
the
that
whole
bull-
sport. Jesus.
The whole
leave.
sport, bro.
God
That's
bless.
hey, they gotta exit stage left because that type of shit that they was doing, that shit
Yeah.
ain't even called for, fam. I'm telling you, that shit have had me pissed off like a motherfucker. I'm serious. Like I almost fucked some friendships over that shit. Like
Okay,
I'm serious,
but we know,
man.
but we know now that Clubber D said he has to fight 2 more fights. So what?
Yeah,
will
but
Canelo do?
I mean, it's gonna be like it's been this last 10 years that he probably gonna clean up another 2 UK dudes. You know what I'm saying? They gonna feed him. They gonna give him some lunch meat. You know what I mean?
Johnny Big
And
Dutton.
yeah,
I was waiting for it.
they gonna give him some lunch meat, man. And honestly, you know what? He should. I mean, dude, how much more money do you gotta make, fam? Like
That's true.
what's enough, right? You know what I'm
But
saying?
what about the pride of getting your belts back from Crawford?
Ain't no pride.
He
Them
don't
belts,
care about
he
that.
didn't earn them belts the right way to begin with.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So that's
Well,
why
he
I
doesn't
think
feel that way. He thinks
well,
he earned them.
his fans don't feel that way either, and that's why you got to give Crawford all that much more respect because of what he did. He took all of that, all the bullshit they gave him. He get that too. Like when's the last time you seen a Mexican drink
graceful.
some Hennessy? When was the last time you seen a Mexican drink some Hennessy? Canelo had a Hennessy. He had a Hennessy sponsorship, fam. Like that shit is crazy. That shit is crazy. What you mean he got Hennessy? You couldn't get at somebody black? Don't y'all associate us with that?
LeBron
Yeah, I
got
said
one.
it. I said it. You know what I'm saying?
But he also came out
bro.
to a
Listen, Bud. If I was Bud, this is what I would do, right? So I really, to be honest, I think Bud should sell off into the sunset on the top of the mountain, and then just tell everybody to kiss his ass on the way out because they didn't give him the respect he earned while he was. They didn't give him his flowers while he was here. So if I was him, I would just ride off into the sunset. But if I wasn't him, I would break that belt back out. He didn't had a fish fry. Like, hey, Boots Ennis, didn't you go to try to help this mother? Come over here and get this ass whooping off cold. Ass whooping off cold. Hey, Jamel Charlo, you remember when you was going against me when we was talking about Earl Spence? I told you mind your motherfucking business. And I was talking to you while I was whooping his ass. Come on over here, get this ass whooping so we can really cement this because that'll be 4 divisions undisputed. If he beats Jamel Charlo, I love to see that. That's what they should have gave us the first time, and that's what they should give us now. If he gonna do anything else, go ahead and get that Boots. I mean, you don't got to get Boots to it, but you definitely got to get Charlo though. Charlo needs some of that hitting on women and stuff like that. Hey, come on over here, boy. We don't hit women. We hit each other.
You're right about that.
But seriously though, man, honestly, I don't want to see neither one of them fight no. I don't want to see neither one of them fight no more. I think they done what they had to do in the sport. Bud's made his bread. I think he should just, ride out into the sunset. And I'm giving him flowers right now, and just be done with it. Go fishing.
Yeah. Hey, I'm kind of in that same boat right there. I think that the choices with the both of them, I feel like we could see a Canelo versus Chris Eubank Jr., especially if he wins this rematch with what's his face. Also, as it relates to Crawford, the ball is in his court. It depends on what he wants to do realistically. Maybe he goes down to 160, even 154. There's still fights on the table there, but it's all based on what he wants to do. But I think he submitted himself, as has Canelo. Not a ton more that can be accomplished by Canelo. I think he solidified himself. There are many who hold him in very high regards and view him as the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. So it's just a choice of how he wants to continue to compete. Do I think we've seen the last of both of them? I don't think so. I feel like both of them will be in there in some mix. And so it'll be interesting just to see what Crawford's next fight is, if any, because I feel like it's pretty much just open table, and he can choose between 168 down to 154, and maybe it's Boots, maybe it's Janovic, maybe it's Sebastian Fendora versus Keith Thurman winner. You name it, you know what I'm saying? I just think the sky's the limit with him.
So you don't see a Canelo Crawford rematch either.
I can't see that happening as well. I don't know how much of a fan sort of pulse and expectation will be there, considering how dominant overall Crawford was. You know what I'm saying? So I think it would be just merely for the money if they were to rematch again, at least without having some other fight or whatever it may be in between such.
I will jump in with this because I listened to Crawford on Ariel Helwani, and he touched on this individual by the name of Ilia Topuria, because they had the same, they use the same music. Ilia Topuria, he's just moved up to a 155. He's a 155 UFC lightweight champion, and he's not happy with Canelo. He's not happy with Crawford using the same music as him and saying he can beat him now. Now, if this was a money grab and Crawford, he's good friends with Dana White. Crawford has shown in the past that he actually did used to wrestle. If he wants to go out and become a UFC champion, I'm all for that. If he fights Ilia Topuria, if the money is right and he puts Ilia Topuria where he needs to be, I can see him fighting him in the UFC.
In the UFC, in MMA.
That'd be interesting right
I can see Blood testing himself and doing that, because Ilia Topuria, he does not take you down. He likes to stand up and box. If you want to watch MMA,
but he could take him down. Does Bud
knows how to wrestle?
Have any MMA training?
Bud knows how to wrestle. You can defend a takedown. You stop that takedown. You can.
No. I didn't know he had. Yeah, I didn't know he had wrestling experience.
Because if you,
you didn't see him pick.
Oh yeah, he's wrestled a lot. Like when he wrestled with Devin Haney and his friends, Bud can wrestle, and his nephew, he can actually wrestle. And if anybody wants to look at MMA fighters fight, don't look at the James Toney, Randy Couture, because Randy Couture is a high level wrestler. Look at Tim Sylvia versus Ray Mercer, and saw what Ray Mercer did to him in 15 seconds. So
that would be more novelty, but hey, I guess it could definitely happen. And shout out to my guy Rodolfo Herrera Jr. I know he's on the same page, but I do think that why Canelo versus Eubank makes sense is because Canelo, of course, he's primarily fought in Mexico and the U.S., and this will be his chance in front of the UK audience.
Yep.
I'm thinking they can get 70, 80,000 or more there for a contest between him and Eubank Jr. Just because the UK fans, I think they have the top fan base in boxing, personally speaking, and I think that will show up in a major way there as far as filling out the stadium or whatever it may be in terms of just getting the most amount of people out there. I think they have a top fan base in that regard. But, hey, we saw that Canelo Crawford brought 70,000 plus there for this contest. So that shows you, hey, there's interest there. So I think Canelo Eubank would do that or more over in the UK. So that's why I think that's one that could potentially come about.
They filled up the stadium for Eubanks and Ben. That was a non-title fight. So,
bro, hey, I explained to people. I explained to our audience how that works. They got one big ass stadium, and there's a waiting line for tickets to any event. So every event's going to be sold out. They got 90,000 seats that they can sell out, and the line is like, it's like 1 million people deep just to get into events. So all those events are going to be sold out. You're going to have motherfuckers in there singing Sweet Caroline. You might see about eight Mexican flags. You know what I'm saying? The Canelo goes sleep about 8. They're going to be singing the whole match.
I think that factors in. And also, by the same token, here in the U.S., of course, we think about the places where we can get the most people. Michigan Stadium there in Ann Arbor, where the Michigan Wolverines play. That's like 106 or 7,000 that you can hold there. Dallas Cowboys Stadium, that's where we had some boxing events. Canelo fought Liam Smith, and they got, I want to say, 52,000 plus in there against a British guy that nobody knew. You know what I'm saying? So I think you could get a lot of people there in a Cowboys Stadium, for instance. It's just going to depend on the right dance partner. You know what I'm saying?
Why don't he fight in Mexico? That's another goddamn thing.
He fought
Ryder. He fought Ryder. No, that's just not the only time, but he started out in Mexico. But Ryder, they had 55,000 plus against a rider who isn't a known commodity or name there in Mexico. I think Canelo can do even more depending on where he's at, especially, and that was in like the Guadalajara, Jalisco area where he's from. If he fights in Mexico City, I'm sure they can get even more than that. You know,
that's what they should do. Go back home, and go do a fight over there. I don't care, man. All y'all motherfuckers, y'all can go back there too. Go back there and watch the fight there in the outside arena, and I hope it rained like a motherfucker. I'm not forgiving these motherfuckers, man. They went too far, fam. I'm serious.
I feel like Canelo, he's fought when he fought Kirkland, and I feel like there was a little I mean, that could be people say whatever online, but when he fought Kirkland, they said that he couldn't train with Aaron Wolf, but that was at the Astro Stadium.
Yeah, that's what happened.
So he's definitely, and I thought Kirkland was going to knock his ass out, but that was definitely he fought in a big crowd there. Crawford fought in a big crowd in California when he fought Madrimov outside. So we've had these some point of big giant crowds for boxing in America. But it's just not like Wembley Stadium, we don't have the all hands on deck, except for this Allegiant Stadium. When I saw that picture of the crowd, everybody at the stadium for the Canelo Crawford, I was like, thank you, American fans, thank you. But the biggest villain in that whole thing was that Allegiant does not allow bags inside of the stadium. So all the videos of people lined up to get their bags back, and all these dudes carrying purses.
It is
hilarious.
Go back to the car. It was hilarious.
Oh, man.
Hey, I believe the highest selling boxing event or the attended boxing event in North America in the history was Chavez Sr. against Greg Hagen. And I want to say it was like 106,000 or something like that.
Damn.
Something were in that neighborhood, and it was in Mexico or whatever. So that shows you the potential there that is there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean they got venues like in South Africa and shit like that where people can go fight and do that. You know what I'm saying? Like just go and take that shit somewhere else. Fuck it.
So first of all, I've got to say, Clubber D, I was actually absolutely dying when I was watching the Instagram video of all these dudes carrying purses, and I just know what the conversation was like because I've been in there before when you've been with your girl and she's like, take this back to the car, and you're like, mother, okay, fine. And then you look like a little punk walking up. I dying.
Now it was worse than that, fam. I seen a dude put 40K up on Canelo, bro. Like all the motherfuckers was, man, they was betting the house on Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Dudes was walking out of there mad as a motherfucker.
You gotta be like, shoot free and make her take it to the car.
Right.
40K on Canelo, right.
So there were some really funny moments before we sign off. We're about to sign off in a second, everybody. We thank you for tuning in, but there were some really funny moments that I want to get your thoughts on. Now, Clubber D, you did say the Mexican entrance for Crawford was more of a. You said that was more of like a tribute instead of an intimidation factor.
Yeah, well, he knew the guy. The guy that sung the song was his friend. That's from Nebraska. He's Mexican. He's like, hey. I like the song. Okay. I want him to do this and showing the Mexican fans that I have Mexican fans. I'm cool. It's not a black versus Mexican thing. And he's trying to prove because as Papa Junior said, there's a lot of racism that has been happening in the last, leading up to this fight. Yeah. And he's like, I don't hate you guys. We're all people. So I'm having my friend who's Mexican singing this song and giving him opportunity. So shout out to Crawford, for doing that.
Yeah, no, shout out. I was just confused because he came in, he had Tool first, which is like a crazy entrance for Crawford.
West Coast.
Okay, but Tool is like a hardcore like metal band, so I did not expect that at all from Crawford. So I was like, okay, that's really cool. Dana White sitting ringside and Turkey Al-Sheikh making him hold the belt, and he's like looking down the whole time like a scolded dog. Did y'all see it?
What you think, bro? Old boy was probably backstage rubbing his feet down with lotion. Hey, man, go and clean. You remember, Turkey changed outfits in the middle of the thing. He probably had one of them, what I'm saying, get the sponge bath and rub down the back of his knee meat. The knee meat got rubbed down in the back of it. Yeah. He said, make sure you get that duck butter too, because I gotta be commando out here with this skirt on. You feel me? So yeah, he running stuff.
No,
for sure. I promise you. We watched those.
Believe it.
Man, they was cycling people in and out of that seat next to Turkey. I
Mr.
seen all
Beast was
types of
like
people.
there for like 8. How the hell did he get a seat there? I want to
Cycle
sit
him
there.
out.
Fuck Mr. Beast.
That was crazy.
Everybody had to go rub a knee.
I put it like this. It was very strategic for Dana White to hold that belt because Suleiman of the WBC was basically not allowed, or he says he wasn't allowed to get in the ring. And Dana White was the one who put that belt around Terence Crawford, if you notice.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like UFC fighters. When the UFC fighters win, it's Dana White who puts that belt around him.
Yeah.
They wanted that big ass WBC belt to be around him because he always goes out for Canelo and all these other WBC.
Yeah, they made a custom one too.
They made a custom one and a ring. And Canelo and Crawford gave Canelo his belts back after the fight because those are his belts. But
which
you notice Dana White is the one who put that belt around Terence Crawford.
I would say that is something, but giving the belts back certainly is customary.
Yeah, they do
for the most part because they custom.
But they said usually that it would be your. But Josh, they said usually it would be the team that gives it back. It wouldn't be the fighter themselves that would give it back after a win.
I think he wanted to do it for respect, right there, Crawford. In that sense, and
you know what? Crawford has been so graceful and so respectful this whole fucking time. Like,
yeah, so fuck it. I'm gonna be disrespectful for him here.
Okay,
take these belts back with this ass whooping I just gave you. Hold that. Hold that. You know what I'm saying?
But I was dying when I saw Dana White. I was dying. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, they co-promoted with UFC.
He looks like a scolded dog.
Subscribe on YouTube at Ball and Bud